So, we have been on quite the journey over the last few weeks. For those of you that have been here, we've been playing with the old indigenous tradition of the medicine wheel. And so we have taken a journey through the first three directions, the east, the south, the west. And today we're going to talk about the north. And the north is actually considered to be the mental body. So if you remember right, all the other bodies. So we had the east was the spiritual body, the south was the physical body, the west was the emotional body. This is the mental body. And the time of life for this happens to be adulthood. So again, just as a recap for those of you that haven't heard this, the spring is the time between death and birth. The summer, when we go into the summer, we go into the time of being an adolescent. And then in the West, we actually turn into and begin the process of becoming a young adult, and then we go to the north and we become the full adult. The time of the year is going to be winter. So again, spring, summer, fall, and then we go into the winter. The time of night, or time of day, is going to be the nighttime. So this is a time, actually, where we get to share our wisdom. And it's a cycle that can be used over and over and over again, because in this tradition, what we've been talking about these last 4 weeks is this idea of being in balance. So in other words, we've got all these different bodies, but we need to balance them. And they used this tradition as a checkpoint to just ask themselves, well, how am I doing? How am I doing? Do I have these bodies balanced in such a way so that I can live a happy life? And so as we look into the north, and we look into this tradition, what I find so fascinating about it is how I can connect it to unity in the traditions and the teachings in unity as well. And so I love it because I get to blend both. And I hope you take away that you can actually blend both and use some other traditions that have been around for thousands and thousands and thousands of years and take that in and go, wow, well, how can I apply this to my life? How does this work? So according to the unity teachings, the mental body is an aspect of our overall being that encompasses our thoughts, our beliefs, and our attitudes. And we view the mental body as a crucial part of our overall health and well-being. Our thoughts and beliefs have a powerful, powerful, powerful effect on our emotions. Beliefs create the thoughts, which creates the emotions, which dictate the actions, and then create the experiences. So you've got this loop that just keeps going round and round and round. And that all starts right here. It can start right there. And so the north lets us start to pay attention to this mental body, to honor it, to acknowledge it, to embrace it. So unity also teaches that by cultivating this positive mental outlook, we can improve our overall health, relationships, and our life circumstances. Because we do believe that we, in a sense, are creating our own reality. And that's our thoughts and our feelings and our emotions and the way that we act and interact with each other and the way that we interact with the universe and the planets and everything else like that, that creates an impact in our life. And unity also emphasizes the importance of aligning our thoughts and beliefs, if you will, with spiritual principles. Go figure, at unity we're going to talk about spiritual principles, right? Such as, love, compassion, unity, which is a real thing, by the way. Unity consciousness is a real thing. And that by focusing on these principles and aligning our mental body with them, so in other words, just check this out for a minute, right? You've got these thoughts and these ideas that align with those principles. And then, unfortunately, I don't know about you, but in my life, I've had a few thoughts that weren't necessarily in alignment with that. And so the process, what I have discovered in Unity for over 40 years, is this idea that if I can start paying attention to what's going on in here, I can change those thoughts. You can change those thoughts. So then if I look at things and I go, well, there's some stinking thinking going on over here, maybe what I need to do is go check out that and think about changing my thoughts. It's exactly what the Fillmores did. It's exactly what they did. And then what we do, though, in Unity is we focus on more of a positive outlook. We don't ignore the bad stuff. We don't. We process it. We're healthy here. We don't do spiritual bypassing here. No, we don't do that. But by cultivating a positive outlook, we can really make a difference in aligning our thoughts with these principles. And that's the gig. That's the whole game. And so it's amazing when you start to look at it, how it ties in to this tradition. It's beautiful. It's really, really beautiful. In adulthood, we become the elder because it's the adults, it's the elders who can ensure the survival of the rest of the tribe. That's what happens. The tribe starts to lean on you as an elder. The attributes of adulthood are many: self-control, self-reliance, commitment, vulnerability, hard work, order, selflessness, patience, sacrifice, endurance, empathies. These are the attributes. And there's more. That's just a quick list of what they are, right? So in the book that I've been referencing often during these 4 weeks, it's called Soulcraft by Bill Plotkin. And he goes on to say, the child of summer and the adolescents of fall remain, but are now under the governorship of the adult of winter. The north activates all the shields. So in other words, it's been building up to this crescendo where we finally land in the north, and now all of the shields are activated. All of the bodies are activated. All of them. When you get into that, think about your own life as you get older and you start to mature. What starts to happen is, hopefully, you're starting to figure a few things out. Hopefully. And things are going to start making sense, hopefully. And so what you're doing is you're starting to play with these things, and you're starting to step into your adulthood, right? South is the emotional power, west is the psychological power, north is the rational power, rational, wisdom. Wisdom unifies, synthesizes, and integrates the emotions. So it brings them all together. It brings all this stuff together. Feeling and thought into appropriate action. It is about you becoming an elder. And yes, we are all going to be or are going to become elders. We are. It's a time of life when we fully step into adulthood. And it's that time that we get to share our wisdom. In the 12 Powers of Man, Fillmore states, wisdom is the ability to make sound judgments and decisions based on knowledge, experience, and understanding. It is the application of knowledge and the ability to discern what is right and what is true. Wisdom is essential for personal growth, and it is also vital for leadership and success in any area of life. He goes on to say one of the key characteristics of wisdom is humility. A wise person recognizes that they do not know everything and is open to learning from others. They do not feel threatened by other people's opinions or ideas. And they are willing to admit when they're wrong. Humility allows for a more significant capacity for growth and helps a person avoid making foolish decisions. Another important part of wisdom is discernment. How many times do I tell you, when you open yourself up to spiritual wisdom, your awakening, your growth, and everything, discernment, 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 discernment. It is critical that you develop your own discernment. This is the ability to recognize the difference between right and wrong, good and bad, truth and lies. It involves being able to see beyond surface appearances and to understand that underlying motives and intentions behind people's actions. A person who has discernment is less likely to be deceived. by false information or misled by others. This skill is particularly important, and leadership roles in making good decisions can have significant consequences. So this idea, the skill set, this ability to be able to discern, especially as you walk down your own awakening path, is critical. It's intuitive. It's paying attention to what your heart and your soul is telling you. There are a lot of things out there when you start to awaken that you'll be exposed to. A lot of different things because of what's going on right now. And you know what? Some of them are going to make sense for you to look at and start playing with. Some of them aren't. If I were to sit down and share my list of goodies with you, we would probably have different lists of goodies that we like to play with in our own spiritual life, right? Isn't that correct? Does that make it wrong? God, no. Never. It's not. Every single one of you is being guided by Spirit to your awakening. You are. It is happening. Trust it. So I could sit down there and talk about a bunch of books and a bunch of principles and a bunch of tools and everything else like that. But you know what? None of it matters. None of it. Until you actually start engaging and start telling the universe, I'm ready. It's time for me to wake up. I'm in. I'm all in. And what happens when you do that because of who and what you are, guess what? The universe is going to show up. And it's going to start guiding and directing you towards different books, different people, different places, different groups of people that are going to help you in that unfoldment. Trust it. Trust it. It's there. This wisdom, we all have it. We all do. And one of the things that I hope starts to happen within our little collective here is that we start to tap into some of that wisdom. We started to have our circle that we did for the first time, and I hope you people can join us. There's one coming up in April where we take all the chairs out, we make a great big circle, we ask questions, and we let everybody share their knowledge and their wisdom. Every single one of you has wisdom. All of you do. And it's this collective wisdom that changes everything. It's precious. Your wisdom needs to be shared. Especially, don't mean to pick on you, but you older folks. Why? Because you've lived amazing lives. You've had a gajillion experiences. You know things that I don't know and that other people don't know. We need to learn from that. We need you. I can't begin to tell you how much we need you. And in my own opinion, I think we do a horrible job of tapping into that wisdom and that knowledge. I really, really, really do. And I hope we can change that here and start tapping into that more and more and more and more. And it looks different for everybody. And what I'm going to encourage all of us to start doing is to start sharing that. Somehow, in your own little way, share that. Maybe it's teaching a child how to go fish. Maybe it's teaching a child how to knit. Maybe it's teaching somebody how important family is, or how important love is, or how important forgiveness is. Maybe. Maybe it's how to live an authentic life. Wouldn't that be a cool lesson to hear from an elder? Maybe it's about teaching them about the deeper things that our society just doesn't have the capacity to be able to explain, teach, or share. Maybe it's that if you get caught up in life and the busyness of it, that sometimes you forget the important things. Your friends, your family, your faith, fun, adventure. All of those things that make for a rich and rewarding life. The sacred and the holy. You know, it was an amazing time for me that I got to spend with my mom towards the end of her life. And we had several talks. I just started asking her, Mom, tell me about your life. I want to know. And so I'd start asking her a question, well, what about this? And remember when this happened? What were you thinking about? And on and on and on and on. And I'm telling you, those times were precious to me. She shared with me stories that I never knew, I never heard. And I thought, oh my God, what would have happened if I didn't sit down and ask? Because I just think there's this hesitancy to share this knowledge. And if anything, I'm going to nudge you to think about that, especially those with kids and grandkids and great-grandkids. Your knowledge is sitting there waiting for them. It is. So then the question is, well, how do you share it? And I don't have the answer for that question, but I'm going to encourage you to ask yourself that question and figure out what it looks like for you. I was thinking with my mom, and I know either somebody's did this or somebody's going to do it, but I thought it would be amazing to have a place where you could actually sit down and record somebody and ask them, like, if you had 5 pieces of advice you could give to anybody, what would they be? And then video record that and then put it somewhere. Go ahead, you can take the idea if you want to. But I think it would be beautiful. I think it would be amazing where you could share all this wisdom that people have learned throughout their lifetime. Because I think it gets lost in the society. It just gets lost. So, the wisdom is important. The north represents the mental and the wisdom. With all of the directions, they get out of balance. They can. And so I've been sharing with you with all directions, well, what does it look like when they get out of balance? With mental body, you get into martyrdom, fundamentalism, burnout, over-serving, rigid, binary thinking, right versus wrong, good versus evil. You start to focus on the structure of things versus the spirit of things. So just paying attention, and if this stuff is kind of tapping on your shoulder, maybe something you need to pay attention to, maybe not, I don't know. But that's the key, is paying attention to the mental body to see, is this thing in balance or is it not? Does it need some attention or does it not? And so one of the things I want to talk about is just some practices to help you with your mental body in terms of taking care of yourself. Well, how about sharing your wisdom? That might be one thing you could do. How about, on the other side of it, we embrace our elders? There are several people within our congregation I think are just brilliant souls that I am honored and privileged to be around as I watch them do what they do. It's amazing. I learn so much. You have no idea what a little whisper or a little hug or a little comment, that difference that it makes to me. I see that. I hear it. And just because I don't run up to you immediately and say, that was amazing, doesn't mean that I don't have ears or eyes and I don't see it. I do. Another thing that you can do is, how about be a lifelong learner? I hope you're always expanding yourself mentally. Lifelong learner. Do something creative. What do you do that's creative and fun? How about paying attention where you might be becoming a little bit rigid in your beliefs and your stands? Sometimes, and I even have to be careful with this myself, I have to be really careful that I can get so entrenched into the way that I believe. It's like, Mike, don't go there. Don't go there. Leave yourself open to the possibility of something might be a little bit different. Have hobbies in your mind, in your life, that keeps using your mind. Music, learn how to paint, listen to new music, all kinds of things that you can do, right? So the North is an amazing, powerful time in our life because it allows us to stand as a full adult in our full power and show up. And so that's the 4 different shields. So then the question is, well, great, Mike, well, what do we do with this? So my suggestion is you start to look in the 4 directions at the different bodies and see where there may be something that you're stuck in. Your spiritual, your physical, your emotional, your mental. start looking at those bodies and asking yourself a question. Well, which one do I think I'm doing good in, and which one am I not? Or are you stuck in one of them, which happens often? And if you are, and you need some ideas and suggestions, why don't we sit down and have a conversation? That might not be a bad idea. But look at one of them. Spend some time reviewing the different directions. Self-assess and see if you feel like you're balanced or you're not. Am I feeling good within this one body? If you are, great. If not, consider adding some different practices that can serve you. And don't forget the 4 directions. The cycle can apply towards your relationships. It can apply towards your finances. It can apply towards your career. It can apply towards your health. It can apply to all things. That's why they created it. So it's not just one-dimensional, it's multi-dimensional where you can start playing with this stuff. So starting in a few weeks, actually what we're going to be doing is I'm going to do a deeper dive into each one of the directions. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take spiritual principles, spiritual tools, and bring them into each one of the directions. This ties into our overall theme this year, which is, anybody remember? Thank you, Joan. Going beyond. Why? Because at the beginning of the year, I had this big-time intuitive hit that said, hey, what if we all decided as a group that we wanted to go further in our spiritual growth, awakening, opening than we ever have before? What if collectively we did that together and say, yeah, let's do that. Let's go do that. And then shortly after that, all of a sudden the 4 directions showed up, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then I thought, well, that's cool. So now that we got into the 4 directions, now what I'm wanting to do is I'm wanting them tying into unity principles and tools. And so that's what we're going to do. So after Easter, then we're going to come back and we're going to dive into the spring. And then we're going to do that. And then you're going to say, okay, Mike, well, that's great, but and so what? And so what, right? Like, why are we doing this? You know, when you really think about it, like, what's the point of all of this? And I've been thinking about that, and I've been telling myself, well, what is the point? And all of a sudden, I was coming home I was down in Kentucky, or Louisville, excuse me. That is Kentucky. And I was driving home, and I was listening to this book on tape, and I found this story that touched me so profoundly. And I want to share it with you this morning. Now, warning, it's long. But trust me, if you'll just hang in with me, it's worth it, okay? So this is from a book called The More Beautiful World Our Hearts Know Is Possible. Anybody ever heard of it or heard of Charles Einstein? It's an amazing book, so I'm going to share this with you. Once upon a time, a great tribe of people lived in a world far away from ours. Whether far away in space or time, or even outside of time, we don't know. They lived in a state of enchantment and joy that few of us today dare to believe could exist, except those in exceptional peak experiences when we glimpse the true potential of life and mind. One day, the elders of the tribe called a meeting. They gathered around, and one of them spoke very solemnly. "My friends," she said, "there is a world that needs our help. It's called Earth, and its fate hangs in the balance. Its humans have reached a critical point in their collective birthing, the same point our planet was 1 million years ago, and they will be stillborn without our help. Who would like to volunteer for a mission to this time and place and render service to humanity?" Tell us more about this mission, they asked. Well, it's no small thing. Our shaman will put you into a deep, deep trance, so complete that you'll forget who you are. You will live a human life, and in the beginning, you will completely forget your origins. You will forget even our language and your own true name. You'll be separated from the wonder and beauty of our world and from the love that bathes us all. You will miss it deeply, and you'll be unable to name what you are missing. You will remember the love and beauty that we know to be normal only as a longing in your heart. Your memory will take the form of intuitive knowledge as you plunge into the painfully marred earth, knowing that a more beautiful world is possible. As you grow up in that world, your knowledge will be under constant assault. You'll be told in 1,000,000 ways that the world of destruction, violence, drudgery, anxiety, and degradation is normal. You may go through a time when you are completely alone with no allies. To affirm your knowledge of a more beautiful world, you may plunge into the depth of despair that we in our world of light cannot even imagine. But no matter what, a spark of knowledge will never leave you. A memory of your true origin will be encoded in your DNA. That spark will lie within you, inexhaustible until one day it is awakened. You see, even though you will feel for a time utterly alone, you will not be alone. We will send you assistance, help that you will experience as miraculous experiences that you will describe as transcendent. These will fan that spark into a flame for a few moments or hours or days. You will reawaken to the beauty of that joy that is meant to be. You will see it on the earth, for even though the planet and its people are deeply wounded, there's a beauty that's still projected from the past and future onto the present as a promise of what is possible and a reminder of what is real. After that glimpse, the flame may die down into an ember again as the routines of normal life there swallow you up. But after each awakening, they will seem less normal, and the story of that world will seem less real. The ember will glow brighter. When enough embers do that, they will all burst into a flame together and sustain each other. Remember, you will not be there alone as you begin to awaken to your mission. You will meet others of our tribe. You will recognize them by a common purpose, values, intuitions, and by the similarity of the paths that you have walked. As the condition of the planet reaches crisis proportions, your paths will cross more and more. The time of loneliness, the time of thinking you might be crazy, will be over. You will find the people of your tribe all over the earth and become aware of them through the long-distance communication technologies used on that planet. But the real shift, the real quickening will happen in face-to-face meetings and gatherings in special places. When many of you gather together, you will launch a new stage on your journey, a journey that I assure you will end where it begins right now. Then the mission that lay unconscious within you will flower into consciousness. Your intuitive rebellion against the world presented to you as normal will become an explicit quest to create a more beautiful one. A woman said, "Tell us more about the time of loneliness that we may prepare for it." The elder said, "In the time of loneliness, you'll always be seeking to reassure yourself that you are not crazy. You will do that by telling people all about what is wrong with the world, and you will feel a sense of betrayal. When they don't listen to you, you might hunger for stories of the wrongness, atrocity, and ecological destruction, all of which confirm the validity of your intuition that a more beautiful world exists. But after you have fully received the help we will send you and the quickening of your gatherings, you will no longer need to do that because you will know your energy. Will therefore, after, turn toward the activity of creating a more beautiful world." A tribeswoman asked, "How do you know this will work? Are you sure our shaman's powers are great enough to send us on such a journey?" The elder replied, "I know it will work because he has done it many times before. Many have already been sent to Earth to live human lives and lay the groundwork for the mission you will undertake now. He's been practicing. The only difference now is that many of you will venture there at once. What is new in the time you will live in is that you will gather in critical mass and each awaken the other to your mission. You will each awaken the other to your mission. The heat you will generate will kindle the same spark that lies in every human, for in truth, each one is from a tribe like ours. The whole galaxy and beyond is converging on Earth, for never before has a planet journeyed so far into separation and made it back again. Those of you who go will be a part of a new step in cosmic evolution." A tribesman asked, "Is there danger? Will we become lost in that world and never wake up from the shamanic trance? Is there danger that the despair, the cynicism, the pain of separation will be so great that it will extinguish the spark of hope, the spark of our true selves and origin, and that we will be separated from our beloved ones forever? The elder replied, that is impossible. The more deeply you get lost, the more powerful the help we will send you. You might experience it at the time as a collapse of your personal world, the loss of everything important to you. Later, you will recognize the gift within it. We will never abandon you. Another man asked, is it possible that our mission will fail and this planet Earth will perish? The elder replied, I will answer your question with a paradox. It is impossible that your mission will fail, yet its success hangs on your own actions. The fate of the world is in your hands. The key to the paradox lies within you in the feeling you carry that each of your actions, even your personal secret struggles, has cosmic significance. I'm going to read that again. The fate of your world is in your hands. The key to this paradox lies within you in the feeling you carry that each of your actions, even your personal secret struggles, has cosmic significance. You will know then, as you know now, that everything that you do matters. Everything you do matters. There were no more questions. The volunteers gathered in a circle, and the shaman went to each one. And the last thing each was aware of was a shaman blowing smoke in his or her face. They entered a deep trance and dreamed themselves into the world where we find ourselves today. That moves me beyond. When I was about 25 years ago, I had a dream, and I woke up at the middle of the night, and there was this voice that was telling me, you got to go read a book of Merlin. You got to read it, you got to read it, you got to read it. And I remember waking up and telling the voice to shut up. Like, I got it, like enough. So I went and bought the book the next day. For those of you that don't know, it's by Deepak Chopra. I didn't even know the book existed. And what it was the story told me, what I took away from that book, was that as time goes on, like your tribe is going to start to build. And the people are going to start to come together. And what's going to happen is this idea of a tribe coming together is going to get stronger and stronger and stronger as we move along. My own personal belief, we are all part of that tribe. One part of many parts. It's not just one. It's happening all over the world. That we agreed to come down here at this time and this place to transform this planet. And I don't care what you're doing. I don't care what you think you are or you aren't. You are making a difference in the way that you're living. And we are going to transform this planet in this world. We are. I don't say that arrogantly. I say it humbly. Because when you start to see everything that's going on this planet, you know we can do it better. And I would argue, just like that tale that I just told, that was the plan all along. That we were going to come down here to help change things. And so, welcome to the party, folks. Welcome to the party. I'm really, really, really happy to be doing it with you. Each and every one of you, in your own way, are a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful reflection of the divine. I am touched. I am humbled. I'm grateful to each and every one of you. God bless you.